So we know that on October the 31st, Halloween, you know, what a very auspicious day to be crowned as the Tory leader. Um, we know on October the 31st, we will know who the next Conservative Party leader will be. And quite frankly, I've said it before, and I will keep on saying it unless something drastic happens through the contest. Um, it's Kimmy Badenoch's contest to win. If she gets to the final two and it goes to the membership, which is again something we will be discussing in a moment, if it goes to the membership, she wins. Like no question whatsoever. If she gets to that stage, it is her contest to win. Placing a bet against her would be an absolute fool's errand. However, as much as over the coming, summer, and of course the gladiatorial combat that will take place in Birmingham, will be very sort of fun to laugh at. The future of the Conservative Party is a bit really hard to take serious right now, but in many, many respects, there is something that we really actually must take seriously. And you've only got to look at other sort of countries that have fallen to, hard right, or far right movements. You've got to have a good right of center party. If you do not, then guess who occupies that center? And the saying, as the saying goes, nature abhors a vacuum. Well, so does politics. Politics hates a vacuum as well. And if there is no serious, strong, right centrist Conservative Party, that only benefits reform, only benefits Farage. So, like it or not, even though we will be laughing along, I'm sure at people like Mel Stride and the rest of this, cheery cohort that will no doubt be joining the race this weekend and on Monday morning as well. There are serious things that we, should think about. So before we do go on talking more about this, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee, the YouTube thank you button, and of course, as always, there is the Pony Club, the YouTube thank you button, Buy Me Coffee link, Patreon page, all that down below. Never mind. But yes, that's all down below. Click on the like, click on the share button. You know the drill by now. And of course, thank you very much to everyone who does help and support the channel. So let's get on to this then, shall we? So, do you want an example of how bad parties can go? Look what's happening in America. Look what's happening in America, where you have people like Trump and J.D. Vance being picked by the party. Not by America, but by the party. And the danger always becomes they might win. And in a way, it's sort of what happened to Boris Johnson. Every single failure that Boris Johnson had was predicted by people. They knew he would be really scandal prone. They knew he would be really bad. But, oh, don't worry, it's Boris. It'll be fine. And of course, he too was chosen by the membership. And then you get on to Liz Truss, also chosen by the membership. Because people forget that prior to that, Liz Truss was insanely popular with the Conservative Party membership, insanely popular with the Conservative Party membership. It's ultimately the reason why she won and why Kimmy Badenoch, if she gets to the final two, will win. And then, of course, as we talked about last video, the membership is a problem. The membership of the party is a massive problem because it keeps on pulling the party further and further to the right. Oh, that's never mind. I'm just confusing myself with mirroring. But yeah, hopefully I've done that in the right direction. But yeah, they keep on pulling the party further and further right. And then what happens? One of the things that we've seen in this, well, just the recent general election, two things. The Conservatives and something else these leaders that are cropping up are not asking themselves the hard questions that they should be asking themselves, and even the party. They are not even asking these, hard questions. Instead, they are comforting themselves that just as they did after 1997, that don't worry, we'll be back in the next election. And they weren't. And they aren't going to be back by the next election either. Why? Because membership. The membership is going to elect Kimmy Badenoch because it wants someone crazy like that. And remember, people often forget the last leadership election we had where Rishi Sunak was elected. How did that happen? Well, out went Liz Truss. Sunak throws his name into the ring. Johnson throws his name into the ring as well. There's this assumption that other people are going to throw their name into the ring as well. And then people didn't. Because there was a serious general assumption that if Boris gets to the final two, the membership will vote him back in. And MPs start to realise that would be a disaster. Because the assumption was at that election that if Boris Johnson did run and there would be other candidates, he would be weeded out very quickly. But it became very, very clear that there were no other candidates, that no one wanted this job, that it was incredibly, very, very thankless. We might as well give it to Rishi Sunak. And that's what happened. They all coalesced around Rishi Sunak to stop it going to the membership. And how did the membership act? The membership was absolutely livid that had happened, that they did not have their say on Rishi Sunak. Because ultimately, I think if it had gone to a membership vote, Boris Johnson would have won. I really do think so. Boris Johnson would have won. And oh yeah, don't get me wrong, that would have been hilarious to see what would have happened if Boris Johnson had come back in. Don't worry, that would have been hilarious to see. But at the same time, also incredibly worrying because they would have been in power. But just look at other countries, and especially where other countries have defeated far right movements. It has always been because the center has managed to hold. That the center managed to hold off these far right, lunatics, wackos, whatever. And if you don't have that party, then unfortunately that only benefits them. And seeing the Conservative Party the way it is now, the direction that is going to go in the future, I've even said by the time we get to the next general election, there will be, I think, 2 or even 3 leadership contests by the time we get there. So I do not think this will be the last leadership contest that we cover. But oh boy, it's difficult to take this election of their leader seriously. It really is. We're going to laugh. We're going to have a good time. Don't get me wrong. But there's a part of me that does feel that we all, certainly in the UK, have a dog in this race, that we've got a bit of a vested interest to say, hey, you know, the Conservative Party needs to get, some adults back in charge quite significantly, quite quickly. Because if not, that only benefits people like Nigel Farage and the rest of that party. And remember, there is always the danger, of course, as I've said before, in the upcoming Conservative Civil War. How do they answer the question of Farage? A lot of these people, their simple answer is open the door to him. What do you think Farage is going to do once he gets in? 19 letters it takes to launch a leadership challenge. He'd technically have, well, 4, 5 if Suella Braverman gets, welcome back in the party. If she's crossed over by then, who knows? And if they have a leadership contest and Farage is in the party, he will go to the membership and he will win. And you will almost have, in a very, very same way, just as the whole MAGA movement ended up taking over the Republican Party into what it is now, you could very well see the same thing happen with Farage taking over the Conservative Party. It's not guaranteed it will happen, but it's one of those, possibilities that could maybe happen. And with Farage in charge of a Conservative Party, maybe not going into the 2029 election, but maybe going into like the 2034 election. Who knows what will happen by then. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think down below. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.